Odili, the seeker of truth.
The Roman authorities tied an anchor around Pope Clement I's neck and drowned him in the Black Sea in response to the miracle he performed, which led to mass conversions among his fellow prisoners and some of the locals. Emperor Trajan did not launch a systematic empire-wide persecution of Christians following Clement's death. His approach was generally pragmatic and reactive rather than proactive. However, he maintained a policy where Christianity was treated as a punishable offense if individuals were formally accused and refused to recant by offering sacrifices to Roman gods or cursing Christ. This stance was formalized around 112 AD in Trajan's Rescripts, which is an official reply to Gaius Plinius Caecilius Secundus, also known as Pliny the Younger, the governor of Bithynia Pontus in Asia Minor. Pliny had written seeking guidance on handling local Christians, describing how he interrogated suspects, executed non-Roman citizens who persisted in their faith, and sent Roman citizens to Rome for trial. Trajan approved this method, but instructed that Christians should not be actively hunted down, anonymous accusations should be ignored, and only proven cases should lead to punishment for obstinacy. In the immediate aftermath of Pope Clement I's death, the Roman Church elected Evaristus as the next pope in 99 AD, allowing leadership to continue amid ongoing risks. The apostle John the Evangelist died in the early years of Pope Evaristus. Eusebius, in his work, Ecclesiastical History, also known as Church History, confirms the traditional list that places Evaristus as the 5th bishop of Rome, succeeding Clement I. Christianity was not actively targeted on an empire-wide scale, so for Evaristus, this meant leading a growing but still underground Roman Church during a time when the empire focused on military expansion and reforms rather than religious crackdowns. So who was Evaristus? He was born in 30 AD in Bethlehem in the Roman province of Judea, part of the Roman Empire, known as Evaristus, which means well-pleasing or gracious in Greek. For much of his life, he would later change his name to Evaristus. The Liber Pontificalis says that Evaristus came of a Hellenic family and was the son of a Bethlehem Jew named Judah. He converted to Christianity in the church's early days. After Pope Clement I died, the bishops quickly chose Evaristus to succeed Clement. Early Christian leadership, including Evaristus, focused on strengthening the faith and encouraging believers to remain steadfast in the face of persecution under Emperor Trajan. According to the Liber Pontificalis, Pope Evaristus divided the parish churches in the city of Rome among the priests and ordained 7 deacons who guarded the bishop when he spoke for the sake of the word of truth. It also notes that he held ordinations, ordaining 17 priests, 2 deacons, and 15 bishops. He appointed many priests, continuing the pattern begun by Pope Anacletus. Some early sources also credit him with formalizing aspects of liturgical discipline, preparing the church for a more public structure. The community also emphasized public celebrations of marriage with priestly blessings, regulated ceremonies for church consecrations, and maintained unity as the apostolic age drew to a close. Pope Evaristus had to shepherd a church that lived in outward calm but inward fear of being discovered and fatally punished. Unlike Pope Clement I, who wrote a letter across the sea, Evaristus' work was local and quiet. He focused on strengthening the community within Rome, priests, deacons, and catechumens. He laid a foundation that enabled the church to continue functioning even when scattered. Establishing defined parishes and roles for priests and deacons indeed created a more resilient and organized structure capable of functioning even under pressure or when forced to operate discreetly in private homes. During the papacy of Pope Evaristus, Christians began the practice of ordination, which would later become formally known as the sacrament of holy orders in the Catholic tradition. This practice dates back to the Apostolic Age and was evident in the early church's structure, including during the time of Evaristus, although the term holy orders and its full sacramental theology developed over subsequent centuries. Holy orders refers to the sacraments through which men are ordained into the clergy, specifically as deacons, priests, or presbyters, or bishops, receiving the spiritual authority and grace to perform ministerial duties, such as preaching, administering sacraments, and leading communities. In the early church, this involved the laying on of hands by bishops as successors to the apostles to confer orders, ensuring apostolic succession and the continuation of ministry. During Evaristus' era, ordination was a key practice for building the church hierarchy, with Evaristus himself ordaining priests, deacons, and bishops on multiple locations. Another notable action attributed to Evaristus was his decree that marriages be publicly blessed by a priest, which helped standardize Christian matrimonial practices in line with apostolic traditions. Under Trajan, the church lived under a strange paradox. Do not seek them out, the emperor ordered, but punish them if found. It was enough to keep the faithful on edge, never knowing when their peace might break. Around the year 105 AD, Evaristus was arrested for his role as a Christian leader and refusal to renounce his faith or participate in Roman imperial cult practices, such as offering sacrifices to the gods or the emperor. His arrest was sanctioned by Roman imperial authorities under Emperor Trajan, who oversaw the empire's policies on Christianity during his period. Since Trajan's policy, as outlined in his 112 AD rescript to Pliny the Younger, which was a clarification and formalizing of the policy that started Trajan's reign, that allowed for the punishment of Christians for obstinacy if they refused to recant, though he advised against active hunts. It was clearly the framework for Pope Evaristus' arrest and condemnation to death. Traditions describe a violent death under the hands of executioners, possibly implying beheading, torture, or another form of Roman capital punishment, but no specific method is confirmed. The events are believed to have taken place in Rome, where he served as bishop. At this point, it was probably clear to the early Christians that popes were easy targets as prominent figures in the growing Christian community in Rome. Anyone who becomes pope might always expect martyrdom for their witness to the gospel and their leadership of the church. With Pope Evaristus' death, the first century of the papacy ended, sealed by the blood of Peter and 4 of his successors. He was buried near the tomb of St. Peter on Vatican Hill on October 27th, according to the Liber Pontificalis. The Orthodox Church joins the Church in celebrating his feast day on October 26th.
Odili, the seeker of truth.